Hello and welcome, you beautiful bookish people. I am super excited for today. I did not feel very super inspired recently to do like certain videos, and so I posted on my Instagram. I was like, hey, would y'all wanna like watch a Q&A from me? And it was a resounding yes, which is so strange to me because I'm like, you wanna hear me just yap? Like, okay. So I asked everybody what they would want to know from me, and I got quite a few responses. So we're just gonna go through them today and just chat about me, about books, about life. It's gonna be such a good time. I'm gonna start with like some general questions and then we'll get into like the nitty gritty. But Amy.skz from Instagram asked, when did you start reading? Now, I know a lot of creators are the ones that are like,
I've been reading since I was 3.
That's not me. I read a lot when I was in elementary school, but it was more sort of like a competition thing because we got points based on like how many books we read, and I'm like really competitive, and so that was the only reason I read in elementary school. I never read for just like a hobby. I never really felt the need to sit down and read a book. I did read a little bit in middle school, mostly like, you know, Divergent, Hunger Games, Percy Jackson, like things like that. But you could not get me to pick up a book in high school. I was so burnt out as it was with actual school that it felt like an assignment to read something because we were forced to read these like terrible books. And so I just thought I hated reading. Like I would say openly like, oh my God, I hate reading. This is terrible. But my sister and my best friend got me to pick up ACOTAR, like so many other people. And I started ACOTAR in October of 2023. I had not made any like book social media or anything until the end of 2024, but I started reading in 2023. I read ACOTAR, the first book, in 10 days, which now for me is so incredibly slow. But I was also kind of going through like a not so fun part of my life, and reading was definitely an escape. I only rated ACOTAR 4 stars. Like I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, I guess, groundbreaking until I read A Court of Mist and Fury. I read that one in 2 days. No, I read that one in 3 days. And I read ACOWAR in 3 days. I read Frost and Starlight in a day. And I read Silver Flames in 2 days. What did I do after that? Immediately reread the series. And it kind of went from there. And like, here we are. You can't even see all my books on the shelf. Pagey Wagey Reads asked everything. LMAO, I found your account during the Polycon search and I followed. First of all, thank you. You're so sweet. I'm so sad I didn't get selected for a Polycon, but that's totally fine. As far as everything goes, well, I was born on a winter night, December 26th. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going that far back. But a general overview, I guess, of just me in relation to books, but also like my regular life. I was born in Pennsylvania, little town called Allentown, which not many people know. If you're watching this, Taylor Pagodin, I love you. The fact that we were from the same town and then moved to Tennessee is crazy. But I moved to Tennessee when I was 5 years old, and that's where I currently am. I've been in Tennessee for most of my life, and outside of books, I love riding horses. Now, I had to pause horseback riding when me and my husband got married because it is a very expensive sport, but I was like really deep into it. That's like the one thing that was really my escape for a while, but also I just love being around animals. I competed for a while. I started out Western and then I switched to English, and I did just basically like English pleasure. I don't know, like just kind of casual stuff. And then I found an eventing barn and I did eventing for a while, which was super fun. I ended up leasing this horse. Her name was Merritt, but I had her for 3 years and I really, really loved her. Like I miss her every day. She's not dead. She's still alive, but like I miss her every day. And that is one thing that like, I know one day we'll get back to it, but I miss it like so much. And honestly, I don't even know if I would have started reading if I kept doing writing. So maybe it was a God thing that I just like, the pipeline moved on. But I went to the University of Tennessee for, I'm not joking, 1 semester. I hated it. I did not have a good time. I am not cut out for the university life, the college life. I also hit like really bad burnout when I graduated from high school. But I met my husband when I was freshly graduated from high school, and we went to the same church church. We were involved in the same ministry. I knew I was gonna marry him. I think I want to say within a month, not even, probably less. I just knew. I'm a person like when I know, and I'm very decisive, and it's like, all right, that's the decision. We're not moving from it. But in the midst of dating him, and then I dropped out of college. I was doing marketing for a while, but I dropped out because I was super burnt out at the time. I did not know that I have autism and ADHD and OCD. I knew none of those things. And I think it was just a kind of really bad cocktail of not knowing how, like I'm fully convinced like I could if I would have had the right accommodations and the knowledge that I have now. But that's a lot of life. Like if I knew then what I know now, like what would be different? But I actually started doing photography and I did headshots for a while. And I started with social media management, which is kind of how led me to today, knowing how to do social media and then wanting to use books. But I got married to my husband in October of 2022. It was the best thing I have ever done. I love him so much. We have been married for 2 years now, almost going on 3, and we adopted a little corgi named Guppy. He's 2, he's about to turn 3, and we picked him up literally, I'm not even joking, a day after we got back from our honeymoon in Disney. Oh yeah, hello, I love Disney so freaking much. I don't know, in like my short videos, you can see my little Loungefly backpacks over here, but anyways, I love Disney. Okay, remind you, I was not reading at this point, okay? I was doing social media management, just living life, whatever. And me and my husband decided that we wanted to kind of have a fresh start in life. So we moved to Tampa, Florida, which that was about 8 months. We only lived there for 8 months and ended up moving back to Tennessee in December of 2023. Yeah, December 2023. But we really enjoyed Tampa. It was a really great environment. I went to Disney like 2 or 3 times a week. It was amazing. That's when I started my lifestyle content, which that I'm no longer doing. But unfortunately, there was some sketchy stuff going on in Trevor's job, and basically we were owed a lot of money that never hit our bank account. So we had to move in with my parents back in Tennessee to kind of get our feet underneath of us and save up some money and really kind of like figure out life, but also breathe for a second because it was really stressful in Tampa. And that's when I started reading while we were in Tampa. I read so much towards like October, November, December, and then we moved in December. I just kept reading and reading and reading, and here we are now. But finding out during all of this that I do have autism was kind of like my world was flipped upside down, but like in a good way because everything started making sense. I'm still to this day kind of relearning how to live life through the lens of autism and learning to advocate for myself, but also realize like it's okay to ask for help in these certain situations. Like obviously growing up undiagnosed was a really interesting situation because I was very high masking. I still am high masking, but letting go of that and realizing like, okay, my brain works differently, so I have to live life differently has been an interesting journey. But books have really helped me during that. It's been something for me to focus on. It started out as a hyperfixation. It is now turned into a special interest. And yeah, I know that was a really long-winded explanation for that one question, but that's me. I kind of answered this question just a second ago too. Amy also asked, what was the book that got you into reading? It was ACOTAR. I love ACOTAR with my whole heart. It's not my favorite series. My favorite series is Throne of Glass, but ACOTAR will always have a special place in my heart because I've read it 3 times. That's the most I've ever read a series. And I think I read A Court of Mist and Fury 4 times because when we moved from Tampa to Tennessee, I downloaded the graphic audio and I listened to it while I was packing and while we were driving, and yeah. So Violet Proshak asked, I know your genre is fantasy, but is there any thrillers you would recommend? I'm gonna be so honest with you. I have never read a thriller book. Part of me is like, I need to branch out and like try a bunch of other genres, but also at the same time, like fantasy is my genre. Like I'm gonna read something that I know I'm gonna like. And granted, if there comes a day where I'm just like super fed up with everything, I might try a thriller, but I also really like reading books that are not in this world. I read kind of to escape, and I just love everything about fantasy. I grew up watching Narnia, watching Lord of the Rings, and I have a Narnia tattoo with all of the Pevensies crowns on my arm, for crying out loud. Like I love fantasy so much. So I don't know, if you have any thrillers, let me know. Yours.Binte, I'm not sure how you say it, asked, most well-written fantasy book according to your opinion. Oh boy. Okay, here's the thing. Obviously, I'm not like an English major, so as far as like writing goes, I don't know if I'm like the most qualified to tell you like this is the best book I've ever read. But personally, oh wait, I am not gonna lie to you. I feel like the best written fantasy book that I've read is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Was it my absolute favorite of all time? No. I love Silver Flames and Kingdom of Ash and Daughter of No Worlds the most. Like those are my favorites. And City of Gods and Monsters. Oh my god, I read that recently. It's amazing. Anyways, I feel like Sarah A. Parker's writing is so beautiful and I really need to read her other series, To Bleed a Crystal Bloom. It's almost like, I don't want to say it's lyrical because I'm not even sure I know fully what that means. But the way that she wove the story with these like mysterious old letters into her story and also brought in multiple POV in the way and just the rhythm of her writing was gorgeous. And she describes things in a unique way that makes it like you really see it in your head. So I know that not a lot of people like that book, but as far as writing goes, I feel like so far that was the best written that I've read. Brooke Phillips Reeds asked, I'm wanting to start fantasy but not looking to get into a long series. Something simple and easy to read. I'm assuming that was the last part of easy to read. I would recommend A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. It has recently been completed. The second book is A Curse Carved in Bone. It's literally 2 books. I rated them both 5 stars. They were so phenomenal and they do a really good job about blending like Norse mythology with a magic system in a fantasy setting. Like it is romantasy. So I don't know if you want to get like fantasy. I've not read it yet, but I've obviously watched the movies and love them with my whole heart. Obviously Lord of the Rings. I would say that like if you're looking for high fantasy, that's probably gonna be it. I do have it on my shelf. I just recently bought it. So I am planning to read it for the first time. But I think A Fate Inked in Blood would be a good place for you to start because they're only like 400-ish pages long. They're not super daunting. You don't have to commit to an 8-book series like Throne of Glass. I think you'd really enjoy them. Mrs. Carly Costa, 43, AKA my lovely sister. She asked, you got snacks? I'm hungry. I don't have snacks, but I have coffee. That's basically the same thing in my book. So thank you very much. No, I'm just kidding. No, she actually did ask that. But anyways, she also asked another question, which is so freaking cruel. Why would you ask me this? She asked, I feel like she's calling me out. She asked, how do you balance loving to buy new books with your TBR? Listen, the answer is I don't. There is no balance, okay? My TBR is so incredibly long. I have so many like on my Goodreads account that I have put on there that I've just like heard of, but I have a whole folder in TikTok of book recommendations. I have a ton of books on my physical TBR here that again, I have not picked up, and I'm a mood reader. So I do not read books faster than I buy them, I think. Also because I have Kindle Unlimited and I've read a lot of books on there, but obviously like money is part of it too, so I'm not like going out every day to buy a new book. Most of the books that I buy are at least on my mental TBR, I guess. Like I'm not just gonna go buy a book randomly from the store just because it's there. I usually have heard about the book or have seen it somewhere or have like already decided I want to read it. So I guess I'm just getting shelf trophies at that point. I don't know. Does that answer your question, Carly? What are your favorite tropes and authors? Okay, I'm gonna start with tropes. Here's the thing. Actually, I am planning a video called Trope Tournament where I go through my top 12 favorite tropes, and I'm gonna narrow it down to my top 1, which is gonna be so hard. But to name a few, obviously I love enemies to lovers. I think I love more like micro tropes than anything. I love the nightmare trope. Found family. Honestly, I would not be surprised if found family wins when I do the tournament, the bracket. Feminine rage. Absolutely. Oh, who did this to you? Absolutely. She's captured and he's feral, or vice versa. He's captured, she's feral. Ooh. Also, when he's injured and he like runs to her, or like she's injured and she's like, I have nowhere else to go. Ooh. Ooh, it's so good. I eat it up every single time. As far as my favorite authors go, obviously Sarah J. Maas is my #1. She's who got me into reading. She's who kept me in the genre, the hobby. I'm obsessed with Kayla Edwards. She wrote the House of Devils series. City of Gods and Monsters is the first one. The 4th one is coming out in a month, and I am so beyond excited to read it, which is gonna be so much fun because I get to read the arc of the 4th book, and I'm like, I I'm just giddy over it. But there's her and then Carissa Broadbent. Oh my God, I love Carissa Broadbent so much. She wrote Daughter of No Worlds and the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and Daughter of No Worlds is on my top series of all time list. I think it was so incredible. I didn't like Serpent and the Wings of Night as much as Daughter of No Worlds, but the way that she incorporates like war and politics with like magic and all that stuff and brings everything full circle is, oh, it's so satisfying. Honorable mention though, obviously I do love Rebecca Yarros, but I feel like as far as that goes, I don't read any of her other stuff, so I don't know if you could say that she's one of my favorite authors if I'm like, don't think I'm gonna read anything else by her. But I do love Fourth Wing. It's phenomenal. Pretty much I just realized you can see all my favorite authors in the shot. That's so fun. Kenzie K. Greasy asked, what's a deal breaker for you in a book? Ooh, this is a good question because at first when I started reading, I did not DNF many things because I was among those who I was like, well, I'm reading it, I might as well keep going. And then I was like, why would I waste my time if I'm not enjoying this? Like, I don't want to burn myself out. A couple of reasons why I've DNF'd some books. Like recently, there was one book where it was borderline non-con. The MMC grabbed her braid, wrapped it around his hand and pulled. And like, at first glance, like in a certain setting, that could be kind of hot. But in this setting, it was like, ooh, no, because of hearing her thoughts. So I guess like an overly aggressive MMC would be a deal breaker. Modern language is a deal breaker for me. I read this one book that had thick thighs, save lives, beast mode, resting bitch face. Like, I do not want to read that in a fantasy book. Like, I'm sorry. It would make more sense if it was like a modern fantasy, almost like set in today's world, but this was like not even close to the world that we live in. And it was an interesting story, but I DNF'd the book after she said egg donor. I was like, I'm so done. Like, I cannot enjoy this story. If you're having TikTok language, I'm not doing it. I don't know. I also like, I don't like anything super spooky or like demon stuff. That kind of just freaks me out. And like, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with my spirit. I'll stay away from that stuff. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list. Miss Natalie Natia Vani on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Go follow her. She is incredible. I love her so much. One of my book besties. She asked me, which main character do you relate to most? Like, this is your soul FMC or MMC. I don't think it's gonna come as a surprise to any of you that Nesta. I love Nesta. I know she is such a controversial character. I mean, rightfully so. But I feel like her book, one, is my comfort book, but two, I really relate to her the most in that one scene where Feyre is talking to Cassian and she's like, I think Nesta feels everything. She sees it and she burns with it, and building that wall protects her from feeling too much. Like, she might come off as like she doesn't care, but she probably cares the most. This is hard to talk about. Also, like mental health wise, just her struggles and like her inner monologue and her thought processes like really hit home. I mean, granted, I don't have like as dramatic of a story as she did, but I think it's also seeing her like dig herself out of that hole, but also dig herself out with friends, her found family, the people that she chose to be around her. I don't know. She would definitely be my favorite main character. Literally nobody can make me hate her. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Nesta. I do love Aelin so much, but it's more of just like I love her than like kind of relating to her, I guess. Oh, this is making me want to reread Silver Flames. Dadgummit! Now this last one is so special because my husband, Mr. Trevor Perry, he knows all the characters I love. Okay, he asked, how does your husband compare to the man in House of Devils series? I've told him so many times how much I love Darien Castle, and he is my #1 book boyfriend. I said what I said. I love Rowan. He used to be my #1 book boyfriend, but after reading Darien, I talked to Trevor and I was like, Trevor, Darien is you. He reminds me so much of my husband. It's crazy. I mean, minus the like magical bounty hunter and like the life that he lives. I feel like some of the things he says and his thought processes sort of, and the decisions that he makes and like how he makes them, it really reminds me of Trevor. But obviously I married you, baby. You're my forever. I love you, Pookie. That's all that I have. Thank you for watching. I know this was a super chatty video. This was fun to film. I like talking about books. I like answering questions. I like yapping. So I hope you enjoyed, and I don't know, if you have any more questions for me, leave them down in the comments and I will try to get to all of them. But I will see you next time.